What's going on, family? Welcome back to Israel's Movie Reviews. And we're going to be discussing today Black Widow from 2021. This movie was one of those movies that I look forward to, but as we all know, the pandemic slowed it down. You know, the production slowed down. Little by little, news about this movie being even produced was going down little by little. So my expectations were a bit lowered, knowing that the pandemic was going to slow things down, and we never knew if this movie was even going to be made. But with that being said, the movie was made and eventually did come out. It did have its issues. We didn't know if we were going to see it in the theater. We didn't know if it was going to be streamed on Disney Plus, and then eventually it was streamed on Disney Plus. And you know, even though I would have loved to see this in the theater, I saw it on Disney Plus, which is not a bad experience, but it is in a movie theater, right? So I'm just going to get straight into it and let you know this is, to me, Black Widow is one of the weaker entries in the MCU universe for me. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is something not to be messed with, you know, and it's 25 plus films. So to this point, right, this movie is actually, it's rather forgettable, in my opinion, to be honest. Set after the events of the Captain America Civil War, I expected every film after that to be something spectacular. And this movie just was a little short for me. You know, the film follows its hero as she teams up with her long-lost sister to take down the people in charge of the Red Room. You know, the brainwashing facility that Natasha herself was forced into as a child, you know. The Red Room, if you're not familiar with the comics, is basically this one man is in charge of the Red Room. He takes these girls that are either abandoned, taken from their families, or just don't have anyone, and they shift them, basically train them to be assassins. This movie gives you vibes of James Bond. It gives you vibes of John Wick in many ways, just without the gruesome kills. But the movie overall, it's not a horrible movie, but definitely lacked in some things. The picture starts off feeling quite different to the other entries in this franchise, with a somewhat dark tone and a Bourne-esque vibe, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed thoroughly, but I feel like it wasn't executed in the right way. Eventually, though, it deteriorates into the same formulaic sort of thing that we've seen before with this franchise. Countless times from Marvel Studios, we see the same things, which is the big CGI, set pieces, the forced humor, and the comedy, which often clashes sometimes with the flick's tone, and it's frankly sometimes quite annoying. You know, sometimes you want humor at certain occasions with certain characters, and sometimes it just don't go that way for some reason. You know, they tend to fuck it up sometimes. But whereas the action for me, is too far infrequent and intangible to be fully satisfying. Ray Winstone's villain is also the most bland and uninteresting of any baddie in the MCU. I say it time and time again. If you watched any of my reviews, I feel like the MCU lacks in that department. They lack in the villain department. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if they choose the wrong people, because Ray Winstone is a pretty good actor. You know, he does show flashes at times, but, you know, he comes out to me as that, you know, twirling mustache villain in this. He could have been so much more than that. That even includes Malachi from the Dark Elf from Thor: The Dark World, which was, to me, a horrible movie. But the film isn't bad. And don't get me wrong, there are a few entertaining action sequences. The scenes that take place in those manners are amazing. The performances, for the most part, are all on point with the story, and it's generally engaging. It feels like a pretty passive experience overall. It isn't massively compelling, and has quite few of its plot points totally flat, but it's still an enjoyable enough to be to be watched at least once. However, I can't see myself revisiting it anytime soon because of where it falls in the MCU's chronology. This movie, to me, I don't think was needed, especially at the time it came. I believe that this movie was 7 to 8 years late. Yeah, Black Widow's about 7 to 8 years overdue, as this should have happened, I feel, post-Winter Soldier, that era in the MCU. To me, however, that doesn't diminish this film and its solid entry in this 25-plus film saga. And certainly one that Scarlett Johansson should actually be proud of. You know, I think she should have took the bow after Endgame. But I understand that having her own movie was essential to this franchise, and it makes sense. You know, she deserved the proper send-off. This movie had its funny. It was action-packed when it had to be, when it needed to be. And it's rewatchable because of her performance. It's rewatchable for the newcomers. Florence Pugh. You know, I look forward to seeing her. She was the standout of this film. I think she carried this film. And she made her character really stand out. If you're going to replace Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow, you're going to do it the way she did it. You know, she came out smoking. Especially that first sequence when you see them together in the apartment. Spoiler alert, if you still haven't seen this movie. And they get reacquainted. You don't realize that they're sisters, or call each other sisters because of what transpired during their childhood, where they were trained to be assassins at such a young age. And I wish this movie would have been a better experience, especially at the box office. You know, this movie definitely could have made more money. You know, why wasn't given a movie back in 2011, 2012? And I'm happy that she finally got her own standalone movie. But this movie definitely introduced Florence Pugh. David Harbour plays, I think, a terrific role. He's basically the comedy relief in this movie. I think he brings his charm. He kind of brings a similar vibe to what he does for the Stranger Things franchise. And I'm happy that he was able to cross over here as the original Captain America, like he likes to call it. We have the beautiful Rachel Weisz, who is entertaining. These additions were wonderful, but the story felt cobbled together, and it was riddled with plot holes. I know Natasha is it. She's a very skilled assassin. For instance, she's almost invulnerable in this, you know, which is crazy because the villain in this, although horrible, but there's a sub-villain who's way better. But I felt that character was underutilized. Taskmaster, to me, should have been one of the most grandest villains we've got thus far. And that fell short. You know, it probably would have been better to give Black Widow her first film after Iron Man 2 came out. But, you know, we got it when we did. I give this movie a 7.5 out of 10, easily. A lot of my positives I already told you. I didn't have mixed aspects about this. I just wish the timing was a little different. The pandemic, I think, really slowed this down. But regardless, this is the movie that we got. And look forward to seeing Florence Pugh in this. If you didn't get to watch the movie, she's amazing. Check it out just for her alone. This movie does give a proper send-off to Scarlett Johansson in the title role. And this movie does give you a satisfying extra credit scene. Although, you know, Thunder Ross does make an appearance in this. And the character who actually plays him in real life, William Hurt, just recently passed. Rest in peace to him, as he played the character for over 10 years. But he will not be back. So I don't know what they plan to do with that, because, you know, there is a such thing as the Thunderbolts, led by him, and he's no longer around. So I don't know what they're going to do with that character. But this movie he does make an appearance in this. And go check it out. as we continue with this MCU universe. We're down to the last few movies. So like this video if you liked it. Hit that notification bell. Share this video. And if you like more content from me, all you got to do is subscribe. To the next one. Peace.